So I want to talk a little bit about the memory module and in particular the assignment and quiz and give some feedback. I've already talked about this in the face-to-face class, so this video is primarily for the online students. And what you should have seen going through the module is that humans remember very little of what we say. So whether you attend a face-to-face class or take part in an online course, the things you read, the things you hear, you remember very little of them. And we have this thing we call the forgetting curve. Now, what's going to happen is that over this course, you're going to see things repeated over and over again so that they don't drop down off that forgetting curve and you keep remembering, recalling information, and hopefully by the time you finish this course, you will remember a fair proportion of some of the things, some of the important things we've covered. The reason for this, we have this real problem in higher education where so many professors run their courses on very traditional models. They talk in front of a class and then they give an exam and expect you to learn some information. Students cram all that information over the space of a few days and forget 80% of it almost within the next week. So I take a very different approach where you initially study some information, watch videos, watch presentations, read information. Then after a period of time, you do coursework about that, which will hopefully help you come back up to a certain level of memory retention. And then there are quizzes. I don't put those quizzes on the modules just because I'm sadistic to make you do more work to access the course material. It's so that you are constantly being reminded and remembering some of the things we've done on the course. And the very act of forcing you to try and recall them in a quiz situation helps you build those neural pathways and remember information better. As I said, we have a problem on campus. I'm on the Oswego campus. I'm chair of the Teaching and Learning Committee. We're in charge of improving teaching and learning on campus, and we do a lot of work with trying to teach professors to become better educators. And we have reading groups, and last year we read a book by Michelle Miller called Minds Online, and this year we're reading a book by Peter Brown called Make It Stick. And both of these books are about how human beings remember things and how we can improve retention in students. And I still have constant struggles with many of my colleagues to get them to comprehend this, that the models they're using to teach people aren't very good at getting students to remember and learn information. This is particularly important when you're in places like med school, where you want a doctor who's going to operate on you to remember everything from their education when they're in that surgical setting, or diagnosing you in their doctor's surgery. So this applies very much to HCI. Think back to Don Norman in the very first chapter. We talked a lot about the 5 aspects of usability of Jakob Nielsen and learnability, memorability, efficiency, satisfaction, and errors. So think about things like learnability, memorability. How much do you remember when you've used a device? And how can we make people remember how to use devices? How can we improve the device so that every time they come back to it, they'll know what to do, whether it's a web page, whether it's a piece of software. And we can't do that unless you understand how humans remember things. So there's a few links on this page to some of this information, and there's actually a new article that one of the students have just sent me, because he read it this week in the Washington Post, and it deals with exactly the sorts of things we've been talking about in this module on this course.